Hi everyone, my name is Rodney Smith. I'm here with Board Game Geek. I'm also here with Brian Tillman.
Hi.
And also Tyler Mays.
How's it going?
Upper Deck Entertainment.
Yes. So
you brought a game with you. I was going to say you brought a box with you, but you actually have several boxes here.
yes.
What game is this?
This is our new game, Dark Legacy: The Rising.
Okay.
It's a constructed deck tabletop RPG game. So you get to sit down with a deck that you've constructed.
Right.
You get to level up, start at level 1, all the way up to level 20, and cast spells, summon creatures, and you actually come into the battlefield as well. As you can see here on the mats, everything on one half is your character. You're equipping weapons and armor and relics, and you're going
this
in.
area here?
Yes, this area over here. You've got your weapons, primary and secondary weapon slots.
Right.
You've got armor slots. You've got a relic slot.
Okay.
And then you've also got an augment slot, so you can do things like laser eyes, and other various things. Like, 'cause the game isn't just fantasy; it also has a mix of technology, angels, demons. It's faction-based. There's 6 different factions, and each one brings a little bit different to the table from theme as well as mechanics.
So this is kind of like a more modern fantasy here. It's not just stuck in the idea of like, I don't know, just traditional elves.
The traditional tropes. It goes a little bit further. We've actually got Brian Tillman here. He's the one who designed the game, and he can speak a little bit about developing the game in the world.
Yep.
Where'd your vision for this come from?
He-Man.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Big He-Man fan,
Yes.
and I love the idea that you can actually have swords and sorcery, and then someone flying a tank.
Right.
And so I wanted to bring that in and try and spruce it up from the 80s, and actually give us a more modern fantasy, sci-fi, like you mentioned before.
But it gives you like a bigger playground to play in, right?
And there's nothing off limits, so it's just like, oh, well, I want to create a bee person. You're like, all right, just write it into the story.
Okay,
So there's really nothing off limits, and for someone to go, I'm going to fight you with a spear, and the other one goes, well, I have a Gatling gun.
Right.
And you're like, okay.
So we're battling each other in this, right?
Correct.
So you kind of gave me the sense that there's a leveling up system in this.
Correct.
How does that work?
So at the end of the game, you get experience.
Right.
So if you win, you get 20, and if you lose, you get 10. And then there's a leveling chart, and so you just follow it. It's cumulative. So from game to game, you keep your stats and you move up and up and up, just like in most modern RPGs.
So what does an individual game kind of look like here? Can you give me kind of an overview of some of the mechanics? What are we sort of doing? I understand the character now.
Yeah.
And how are we sort of fighting each other?
Okay, so each turn you'll either cast or attack.
Yeah.
You're either building the playfield or you're going and attacking, and you'll bring creatures into the playfield. The first thing you'll do in your casting is you actually use the d20 to determine how much casting power you have in that turn. And if you're attacking,
I roll one of these?
you'll roll one of those. That'll give you a certain amount of casting
5.
power.
Is that better or worse?
No, you can definitely do a little bit better. As everyone knows, the d20 hates everyone.
Yes.
Right. Well, the best part about this game is because the d20 is so random that you actually have to plan your deck beforehand, so that it's not, I have all these high-level cards. It's I need to plan for low-level cards like we have here, 2s and 4s, for when you do roll poorly.
Right.
But then you also have the high-powered ones, so that when you do roll better.
So then, in a way, you can kind of mitigate the dice rolls by how you build a deck. Is that right?
That's
like,
one
if I feel like I'm always the bad luck guy, then don't build with all the giant, big cards.
That's
Prepare to hit with lots of little ones. Okay, that's interesting. All right.
You can also mitigate through discarding cards out of the game. Right.
Okay.
And the leveling system that we were talking about, that's actually how you define the character. So at a certain level, that maybe so you reach this level and you can say, I'm going to choose +2 to my hero's attacks.
Yes.
So you get bonus rolls for this. So that's more of you being a fighter. Or maybe you want +2 to your casting rolls, so you're getting a better access to your casting points. And that way you're defining exactly how you play without saying, I'm a wizard or I'm a fighter or I'm a mage. All of that comes through the choices that you make. So it's a built-in sort of hybridization of your classes.
That's interesting. How do we fight each other?
So once you declare an attack, like I'm going to attack, you then say, okay, I'm going to attack with my weapon and these 2 creatures, and then you actually get to decide who blocks.
Right.
So I don't get to tell you I'm attacking this one, I'm attacking that one. That's all for magic and instants and stuff.
Right.
So once we've determined who's attacking and who's blocking, I have to roll the d20 for each one.
All right.
And then the hit chart, a 1 through 3 means you critically miss. You hit me, I don't hit you.
Yes.
A 4 through 6, I miss, nothing happens. 7 through 17, we exchange attack points.
Okay.
18 and 19 is a direct hit. I hit you, you don't hit me. And a 20 is I hit you, you don't hit me, and I get to add +5 to my attack.
Yeah, your big critical hit there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, got it. So is there quite a bit of variability in terms of how you build your character? I know you said obviously big, smaller, bigger.
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. So with the spell system, you can actually use cards. So you're level 5. You can use level 6 and 7 cards in your deck, even though you're not that level, and you use this charging slot. And each turn, it'll gain a charge. when that charge plus your level equals the card's level,
interesting.
you can cast it. So that means when you're building your deck and say you're level 5, maybe you want to go with a couple of 6s and 7s so that you can get a little bit of a power bump. And I'm going to go swing here, and I'm going to go with 10s and 12s.
Right.
So I have to wait longer to charge them. But if I can fend you off, maybe it has a bigger impact when it comes out.
So you can put something in your deck that you're not quite at the level to necessarily use, but by being patient.
Yes.
And it kind of sits there, and your opponent knows it's sitting there, I suppose, right? Or is it face down?
It's
It's
face
face
down.
down, so
It's
you don't
face
know
down.
what it is.
Okay, so something's there.
It's a strategy, and I put that in there to be a strategy point as well,
Right.
Because I might be a level 5, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to put a level 5 card down there and say I'm charging it, and then I'm waiting. So we all know that there's only
Something's
20 levels.
coming, yeah.
There's only 20 levels, so I can actually let it keep going,
Or you
and
can
then
counter.
And then I'm going to go. I'm going to play this card, which is a level 6, and you're like, well, this is more important. So I'm casting the cards that I actually want to get out while you're waiting for me to cast this.
Interesting.
And then I go, oh, well, I'm going to cast it into level 5, and you just sat on it.
I have to say, like, I've played a number of dueling paired combat games. There's some things in here that sound quite unique.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a hard thing to do, honestly, in this field. So I think that's something that probably be of interest to people. Now, is this 2-player strictly? Is it?
No. So
Oh, really?
it's based on 1v1, but
Yeah.
there's a team mechanic as well, and you can do 2v2, 3v3, 4v4. The more people you add, obviously, the longer the game's going to
Sure,
go.
yeah.
But if you do start doing team battles, then you start sharing resources and the mat, so you really get to you have this cooperative play that really enhances how the game plays.
And is this a contained system, or is it like, I see like extra packs?
Oh yeah,
How does
it is. Yeah, it's sort of an LCG format that you know what you're getting. It's not trying to hunt and find
Right,
commons
okay.
and
Not
rares and
random
things
packs
like
you're
exactly,
buying, okay.
not random. And so each of the starters comes with it's dual factioned, has a deck for each faction as well as
Okay, so this will have two factions.
two factions in it.
Okay.
It'll have two D20s that color code to the faction,
Yep.
a paper play mat, the rule book, and the tokens for you to play the game. And then for the expansions, the way that those work is they include cards for every one of the factions, but they're level blocked 5 to 7,
Right,
8
okay.
to 12,
5 to 7.
13 to 20.
I see, okay. So you don't necessarily need these right away. You can
Not at
start
all.
playing at these lower levels and then
Correct.
Yeah.
build those more powerful characters later.
Absolutely, and that was the thing that we wanted to people because, as you said, it's very unique, and
Right.
people might look at it and say, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to like that." Right? So you jump in at a lower cost
I
point,
see,
or you
okay.
can pick everything up just like you bought a big box.
Now, are these playmats available to pick up in some way?
Yes, they
these
are.
con exclusives or?
No, these are not con exclusives. We do have them here. You know,
Yes.
we've got one for each faction for the mats, for the sleeves, and for the deck boxes. We also have set for the general, just for the game itself. You know,
Right.
but if you identify with a faction, certainly pick up the one that you like.
Sure. Now, is this something that's available right now? Is it something people can buy?
It's going to be available in stores in September. We're actually going to be releasing all the core sets as well as the first expansion in September, and then the others will be rolling out later in the year for the expansions. But it is all available at Gen Con, so if you're here and you want to pick it all up so that you have
There's your
everything
chance.
to play with, we're doing it, and you can get it actually at a discount if you just want to get it out there for people to try out.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on the release of your game.
Oh,
Is
thank
this
you
one your
very much.
first design?
This is my first one.
Well, fantastic. It must be pretty exciting to see it here kind of in the flesh. Ready to
Yeah,
go.
it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I never would have thought that it would have came together like
Oh,
this.
that's awesome. Well, Brian, Tyler, thank you so much for taking
Yeah,
the time to show this
absolutely.
with us. Real pleasure. And all of
Yeah.
you, thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.
Take care.